Hi, and welcome. This is On the Page, and I'm your host, Jen Mulvihil. We have another fantastic show for you today and another great guest. He has been in a lot of movies, including Apocalypse Rising, Jurassic World, Fantastic Four. He's an actor, he's a stuntman, and he's a screenwriter. Please welcome with me, John Mangus. Hey, John.
Hey, how are you? I'm well.
Good, good. So my first question is, after all this absolute craziness, how is everybody? How are you doing?
We are doing well. My wife is fine. Both the kids are fine. We've masked up and done as much social distancing as we can. And fortunately, we've been, pretty blessed with the whole illness deal. So.
Well, that's good. Yeah, we pretty much kept to ourselves too, and just going to grocery stores and like wearing the gloves and the mask and the little
Absolutely.
suit. No, just kidding.
Oh, hazmat suit.
Hazmat suits, yes. Well, I am going to ask you a few questions so we can get to know you a little bit more. So one of my first questions I like to ask is, what kind of movies or books influenced you as a child?
Wow, that was a great question. Obviously, Star Wars, definitely, and Sir Thomas Mallory's Morte d'Arthur was really just seminal moments for me. The whole chivalry and knighthood and all of that. And when I got to like fifth grade and found out there's no titles of nobility in America, it's kind of depressing.
Sad.
It was sad.
I know, I was kind of disappointed. I actually stood outside in Balboa Park for over an hour in the rain waiting to see the Queen. And then they said it was too rainy for her to come out. And I'm thinking, England, it rains all the time, right? So,
Right. Just tell them to stop. It's improper.
yeah,
Queen Victoria would have stopped the rain.
that's right. Yes, of course she would. And nobility and chivalry, I think it's something that we grow up with, and it's good to learn that anyway, because it makes you a nice, proper, polite person to treat others properly. And maybe that's why all these stories have them in it that we like.
I just King Arthur, it was everything. It's great stories. It was fantasy. There was some historical elements to it. Magic, good characters. It was great. I loved it.
It's a good escapism too.
Yes.
So what made you become an actor? I mean, you have a broadcasting and communications degree, and you're an actor and a stuntman.
Well, stuntman was because I thought it was cool, and I have incredible respect for them. But I'll talk about that in a second. Actor, I always liked it. I did not, no offense to anyone, I didn't really enjoy theater acting. Incredible respect for theater actors. But it's basically a community. I mean, you join a community and you have 6 weeks or more of practice and to put on those performances. I really liked acting because it's really a way of putting on someone else's skin, putting on another person, and to be able to be me and, like getting ready for this interview. And then in 30 seconds, you're completely somebody else. And for a little while when the camera's on, you get to be that other person. And then you can go right back. And I understand some actors have problems and they stay in character, and maybe I'm just not that good. I enjoy putting on that outfit. It's almost like a costume, in a way. As far as stunts, if you have a certain look, they'll ask you if you want to do certain things. But stunts is a young person's game. I'm kind of aging out of that now. I don't want to do some of those things anymore. And my wife is like, after my last incident, we went and got an MRI and get baselines established and all that. And that made me pause and decide maybe I shouldn't do stunts, So great respect for them. Movies wouldn't happen. I would tell you that there's CGI and everything, but what there is that's real are stunt people. I mean, when the door opens and somebody falls, supposedly, the actor falls out of the moving car, that's a human being that's doing that, and you can say, oh, well, it's only 5 miles an hour. You fall out of a moving car at 5 miles an hour, which I've done. It doesn't feel good, at all. They're amazing.
Yeah, a lot of stunt people get injured. I've met a few, and I'm actually related to Dar Robinson. I'm not sure if you're familiar. Yeah, he was my cousin. I never got to meet him, obviously, but I get to talk to people about him, and they tell me I get to learn about him every time I talk to more stunt people. Apparently, he was quite respected in the industry.
Absolutely. Jeff Galpin's probably one of the legends, especially in the South. And I had the good fortune of working on doing stunts on Bonnie and Clyde, and there was an accident on the set. A deck collapsed, and several background actors in period costumes fell through the deck, and there were some injuries. And just to see how he reacted and organized everyone, and we basically formed a bucket brigade to get the people out and all of that. I mean, he's just a true hero in the sense of that they're fearless people. So great respect.
What an experience! Wow.
Yeah, it was quite an experience. I also was quite an experience to read the newspaper and hear the television report about what happened, as opposed to actually being there and seeing what happened.
Right. Wasn't that how it always is? So what kind of roles do you like to play when you're, I mean,
that was a fantastic question right there. Maybe for A-list actors, they get to play, or at least have an opportunity to play what they want to play. For me, it's a process. I have an agent. She gives me an audition. I audition for it, which is, in this world now, probably gone are the days of in-person auditions. It's all video recorded and sent off. Then hopefully you get a call back and you get to do that, and it's whatever they're looking for. Most of the times for me, it's cops, police officers, military, people like that. What would I want to play? I want to play, a father, more of a regular person, or comedy, if given a chance. I don't get the chance to do a lot of comedy. It just doesn't. I don't have the face for comedy, I guess. But I really would enjoy doing that.
You did do some comedy though, haven't you? I saw some stuff on your list that was comedic.
Yeah, I got to learn. Not 100% proud of my association with Hot Tub Time Machine, but I was Rob Codry's double and stand-in, and just working with people like Adam Scott and Craig Robinson and Rob Codry and Christian Slater. I learned a lot about the timing and ad lib and how that works. And I have written a comedic short that I would love to film, kind of like homage to the Bing and Bob road shows. It would be two lovable actors that really are D-list actors and always think that they're going to get this big opportunity, and the shenanigans they get into trying to do that. So,
you better go ahead and patent that right now.
yeah, and I love that. I think Bing and Bob made like 30 of those roadshow movies, and most of them they never actually left the studio lot, but they were always supposed to go to Bali or other places. So that would be fun to do something like that. Definitely.
I think that sounds like fun. I'd watch that. That sounds like, so that's kind of segues into your writing. So how did you get into the screenwriting?
Well, part of that was my son. My son was my reader. He's 20 now. He was my reader. Like the opposite when I do a video audition. And just the grammar was so bad in these scripts that I was auditioning from, and he's like, well, stop complaining and write something better. So I got into doing that, and then I realized, wow, it's quite an art form as far as one page is about 1 minute of screen time, and there's a lot of different types of scripts. I mean, there's spec scripts, there's shooting scripts. I don't know enough to be a director, so I write what's called a spec script or spec screenplay. Also, you're not really supposed to give actors a bunch of direction. That's the director is supposed to do that.
Right.
So it's a lot of aspects of that, but I do enjoy it very much. Writing screenplays. I think that I would enjoy doing more of that.
Well, and you wrote a really good one, Tenant Noctis, and you actually acted in it too for the short that you've done for it so far.
Yes, so far. Yes, I wrote it as about 120-page feature film, and then I decided it would work really well as a episodic. So I wrote it as an 8-episode series, and which is really interesting because that made me go back and kind of flesh out the world and think why the characters acted a certain way. I can now explain it. So that's what we would like to film some more on. We filmed basically what was called a treatment. It's like a proof of concept, and it did really well. We won Best Production Design over in the Golden State Film Festival. I was at the TCL Theater, which is used to be the Grauman's Chinese Theater. So that was unbelievable to be able to be screened there. And
that is awesome. Yeah.
That was an amazing time. So there was some traction on it. Different groups such as Studios, Showtime, Amazon, Netflix have all seen it, been interested, but not enough to pay for it to be filmed. So we'll do it ourselves.
Well, and sometimes you just got to do that, do it yourself. So when did you learn that words had power as far as acting or writing or any stage of this?
Well, when you first said that, I thought about being a kid and realized that I couldn't speak with impunity around my mother. Learned that really quick, that words have a lot of power, because it would take away my freedom. And other things. Um, I learned a lot as far as words as in communications. I did journalism. I wrote for newspapers, did news with radio, and so that aspect of it, I really enjoyed and understood the importance of it. Now, as a writer and trying to become a novelist, I'm just amazed. Also, I'm amazed at other people's takes. Like I'll say something a certain way. My wife is way more laconic than I am. She seems to be able to say what she wants to say and what needs to be said with way fewer words than I can. So that's interesting for me when I write characters, because
Right.
they're different people, and some are more stoic and less verbose, and others are more like me.
Well, are there any scenes that you had a hard time writing or even acting in that really kind of were maybe personal or just difficult to do?
Um, Physically, there hasn't been that much. Well, emotionally, there hasn't been that many difficult roles for me. Physically, yeah, yes, very much. I've had some that have been very challenging. And I would say even recently, a movie filmed in Mississippi called Adam the First. We had to run after a 16-year-old boy who's the lead, and I'm not 16 anymore, and chasing him wearing full, police outfit and all of that through a muddy cotton field, that was physically, that was very hard. Acting wise, that wasn't acting. I was tired. 2 straight days of running. Emotionally, one of the harder things I had to do was a film Joey Crocker produced and directed and wrote, a short called Harvest Night. I play a farmer who's there's a home invasion of criminals. There ends up going off in the supernatural with scarecrows that come to life. But just the real element of, a father and having his young daughter, their privacy invaded, and he's getting over the fact that his wife had died recently, her mother. Yeah, he was an interesting character. I really liked that, and that was kind of challenging. And it takes you to a place you don't really want to go. You don't want to think about having your home invaded or losing a loved one.
Yeah, and it kind of that you put yourself in that position, in that mindset, and it almost seems real at times. When you immerse, I know when I write stories, I get immersed and I find myself crying sometimes. And
Really?
yeah, I get a little too immersed, I guess. But in
Is
your
it cathartic for you?
pardon me?
Is it cathartic for you? You
It's
release?
it's more of a surprise, I think. It's just like, whoa, it shocked me when I was writing a scene and I was like, found myself crying. I was like, oh my gosh, what am I
Wow,
doing? I'm not this person.
that's
So
interesting.
yeah, it's pretty wild. But and I want to get back to Tennis Noctis because I got a sneak peek at the screenwriting there. And
Yes.
is any of that, I mean, I know obviously that's not real, but when you did write it, did you insert, real feelings or real expressions from something that you've remembered in your life, or did you, immerse yourself into or use things of that nature?
Without being metaphysical or anything, when I start writing, for me, I it's almost like I'm a different person. Uh, I go down like a rabbit hole when I have to look things up,
No, yeah.
and, and I don't have an outline. If I have a true outline of like where from point A to point B and major plot points, I really can't do that. I have an idea of the motivation for the character. Obviously, I do know the story, beginning and characters, but once I start doing the research, I find out so much more. And I don't. I'd love to talk. I know you mentioned Tenet, but I would love to talk a little bit about Wunderwaffe, which I'm working on now. And I don't want to reveal some twists on it, but one of the things that I did is when I started writing it, I had an idea for certain characters. And then when I researched them, I found out so much more about it. And I'm like, maybe that was the reason. Maybe that was the motivation for the person. And I let the audience, let the readers think that they know what's going on. And there's other reasons behind it. And I'm not trying to make an agenda or make people think differently, but, people go through stuff in life. And, prima facie, we say, oh, this is a bad person or whatever, but it's a lot. There's a lot that goes into the decisions that they make. It's not off the cuff.
And I think that's the excellent skills of a good writer that shows that you're really, immersing into the story and showing the reader who that person is, who that character is. And that's what it takes. You have to have that backstory that doesn't always end up in the book, but you know it, and that's what brings out the character.
And another amazing thing, going back to when we filmed Tenet, I mean, sometimes we had close to 100 people on set, and from background to crew to actors to caterers and all that. And it just took on a life of its own. I remember moving some wood to put on the fire, and that was wood that the greens people were using, and they didn't even know who I was. I'm the co-producer and the writer and the guy that hired these people, and they didn't know. And they're like, "Hey, put that down." And, somebody else had to go over to them and tell them, and I didn't get mad at them. I was happy. I mean, they're doing their job, and and I would talk to people, and sometimes they wouldn't even know, and they're getting into characters, and that's what it should be. I mean, that's what entertainment should be. And that they took something that I created and made it their own. That was fascinating for me.
Probably an awesome feeling. Well, I have a favorite question that I love to ask everybody, and that is, you're stranded in a cabin for 3 days, snowstorm, pandemic, whatever have you, and you've got all the things that you need for survival. But what are the 3 comfort things that you would like to have with you?
Oh, wow. Well, the first is my phone, and not for the normal reasons. I mean, obviously, it's not going to be able to call anybody. I'm hoping that I could read my daily devotional. I can read the Bible on it. I can see pictures of my kids and my family, and that would help get through until it runs out of battery. But that would be it. Definitely my wife. Misery loves company, so she needs to be there too.
Yeah.
I would say my children, but now that they're older, and I am basically becoming the Winnie the Pooh to their Christopher Robin. I'm not a really big pet person, so the third one, I'm open to, but the first 2, yeah.
A lot of people think that's an easy question, but it's really hard to answer that, isn't it, when you think about it? Because you're like, well, I could get this, but oh no, wait, no, I want this. No, it's a tough question. I think we've all kind of learned this last year what is really important to us.
Absolutely.
You
Yes.
know, it's interesting. I love everyone's answers because everyone has a different perspective and what they want to have.
I bet you if you would have asked those questions before the quarantine, their answers would probably be different as well.
Oh, definitely. I'm sure. I'm sure. We are getting.
I miss going to. I miss going to mass. We had 2 months there, and something that's supposedly an obligation, became. I really missed. I miss doing that. And
The simplest, the things that you probably take for granted. I mean, you go every week, but then, you can't go, and you're like, oh no, what do I do?
I didn't coin this term or phrase. I mean, but we made the safe play by quarantining and avoiding those situations. And when you make the safe play, you never know if you're right.
Mm-hmm.
But the way I look at it is, if it did help save somebody, if it did help save a life or prevent a sickness, an illness or a serious situation for somebody's loved one, then that was the right choice.
Yeah.
And I'm in no place to, question or tell authority figures how to run that. I write and act and teach and do what I do. I don't not elected to make those decisions.
Well, I think we all made our choices, and it's working out. Eventually it will work out, but we are running out of time, and I'm really happy that you came and joined me on the show.
Well, I'm honored. It's great. I'm so happy for your success, and this is going to, be a great show.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, until next time, everybody, keep reading, keep writing, keep making movies, keep watching movies, and we can change the world one story at a time. Thank you.
Thank you.